I get those goosebumps every time.
I just have to get the big fella off the bench.
Could this be their last chance now? In it comes, Monster to the front. He scored! Harry Monster scored!
I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too numb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need that line to throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me outside? Slipping low key and hiding. I get those goosebumps every time. I'm around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments. I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype.
Hey, back again. And welcome back to Loaded Mag NUFC. You might have seen this morning for the build-up. We did it the way it is. Countdown to the kickoff, or kickoff countdown, I think we called it. But we are back again to discuss the match, and what a match it was. 4-4, the final result. But just a quick hello to the lads first. Chris, how are you now?
All right, mate. Yeah, a little bit apprehensive, not going to lie, especially after some of the news that broke after the match. But on a personal note, I am good, mate. I'm good, and I tell you what, at least we had an enjoyable 90 minutes of football. It was pretty hair-raising at times. So yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Good. Pete, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Disappointed with that. I've got to be honest. Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. A lot of goals, exciting game if you're neutral, but for a Newcastle fan, you've got to be disappointed with that for sure. And I certainly am.
Yeah, we thought towards the end in our chat, I know we thought with the plenty of time left that we'd get that fifth goal, but wasn't to be. Let's get straight into it. Here's the team used. Here's the team that took the pitch, and it's exactly as we called it in the afternoon. Exactly the team, and we also pinpointed that we'd all have liked Tino to be involved from the start, but we knew that he was going to stick with Byrne. That is the Newcastle team. This is the Luton team as well. But thoughts on the team, lads, first of all. Chris, we go to you.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, mate, it was as predicted. The lineup was exactly what I was expecting. Obviously, it was really nice to see Callum Wilson, Harvey Barnes make the bench. Interesting that Joe White got a shout as well. I must admit, I was a little bit disappointed not to see Harrison, but maybe it was to be expected. But other than that, mate, yeah, the lineup was exactly how I thought it would be.
Any comments, Pete, on the lineups?
No, we touched on it in the previous show. We kind of expected it to be that, and it was exactly that, to be fair. So, yeah, as you were.
Right, as you were. Let's fly through this. I'll stop at all the goals along the way, and there are a few of them. Right, straight into it. 6 minutes. Miley with an unbelievable ball out to Trips on the wing. Trips put in a beautiful cross. And Longstaff was in the right place at the right time, finished it. 1-0 Newcastle. What a start. Great finish by Longstaff to take us 1-0 up. Thoughts on that goal, Pete? We'll go to you first.
Yeah, great bit of play. Nice little ball out from Miley, to be fair. I thought he was right up and amongst it, certainly in that first half, and it was good to see because he had something to prove. He got subbed off in the previous game at Kenilworth Road when we were losing. He didn't have the best of games either, so he looked like he was chomping at the bit. But great balling by Trippier, yet another assist on his name. He really does look like he's back to his best at the moment. He is playing well, and yeah, it's where you want Sean Longstaff to come in and arrive. Sort of that edge of the area up to the sort of penalty spot, and it's a first time finish. He's put everything to get in front of that, and he's smashed it home. It's a really, really good finish, to be fair to him. And it was great to see him score. again. We need more goals from midfield, and he gave us that today. So it was a really, really good goal all round for Newcastle, definitely.
Was, and he wasn't finished there. But Chris, your thoughts on the Longstaff's first goal?
Yeah, I completely agree with Pete. Really, really good finish, and that is exactly, as Pete said, that is exactly where we want to see Sean Longstaff. Making them lung busting runs into the box. And I tell you what, he didn't half finish it well. Fantastic ball from Trippier, but he finished it really, really well. Kept it low and hard, bottom corner, 1-0. Everyone's jovial. Yeah, it was a great finish.
Right, we move on. 1 down, 7 to go. On to the next goal, and it's on to Luton. And this. Free kick from Barkley, header from Morris down, and follow-up header from Ancho, who looped it over Dubravka. 1-1. Thoughts on that goal? Chris, we'll go to you first on Luton's first goal.
I don't know about you boys, and I know it's slightly different positioning, because I think it was more where you can see Anthony Gordon there. That was more round about where Andros Townsend had that easy header, but it just reminded me so much of the goal that was scored at Luton's ground. It's just poor defending, in my opinion. Like, even there, you've got. I'm pretty sure that is Anthony Gordon. You've got Anthony Gordon there in like the left back position, and you're like, well, where's Byrne? Where's Botman? What? Why is the number 2 there? Why is he just free? And the ball gets looped in, and it's a relatively free header. Dubravka obviously can't do much about it. You could argue that maybe he could have come off his line a bit quicker. I don't know, but it was quite far out, the header. But yeah, poorly defended for me, and so frustrating, because it wasn't long after we'd gone 1-0 up, and it just give Luton, that little bit of hope that they can get something off the game. I don't think any of us thought that there was going to be 6 more goals to follow, but poor from a defensive point of view, I would say that.
Yeah, Pete, your thoughts on Luton's first?
Yeah, just poor defending all round. We know that Luton are good at set pieces. I said it to you boys on this show earlier on. I said that's the one area that we need to look out for, are set pieces, because they are good at them. And they've got players that are good in the air. They've got tall players as well, that can get stuck in. So you've got to win the first ball. And when you've got someone like Dan Burn there, he has to win the first ball, and he doesn't. None of them do. But when you're looking at number 2, at that still point where it comes back in, he's just about to head it towards goal. He's actually drifted from the middle of the pitch. So for me, there should be someone tracking that run. Whether it's Bruno, I think it might be Longstaff, might be one of the others. Shaw's in there. Like, someone needs to be tracking that run. Maybe Shaw's a bit harsh. He's got caught underneath the ball. But someone should be tracking that one, because he's literally ghosted in past 2 players to get a free head. And what, he's 6-7 yards out. Like, it's really, really poor defending. And I expect better from us. I do. The way we defended from set pieces and corners and balls in against Fulham away was really, really good. The way we defended in the same way at Villa, I thought, was excellent. And we've just switched off today. And that was an absolute classic example of it, of a team that if you switch off, you're going to get punished, and we did.
What? Let's get into Newcastle's second goal, because on the 22nd minute, lovely ball by Miggy to Gordon. Gordon with a great run, cut inside, took a shot, saved, follow up, and Longstaff was there to put it in the back of the net. 2-1 Newcastle. Cue the celebrations from Sean Longstaff. Pete, we'll go to your thoughts on Longstaff's second.
Well, first off, it's a great run from Anthony Gordon. He's literally done. I think it was number 2 actually that he did right on the touchline. Turned him inside out, beat him for pace, and when he's cut inside, Longstaff's actually calling for the ball there on the edge of the area. He's going mad for it because he's there, he's free, but he decides to shoot, which is fair enough, and it gets parried out to him, and it's the one place that he probably would have been only able to score is to hit those corners, and he did. But for me, I think the credit goes down to Gordon for that because he creates that out of nothing. It's a nice finish from Longstaff, but that run from Gordon is exactly what we want from our left winger, even though he's playing up front today. It was a nice finish as well. And you know what? After conceding that goal, we needed to hit back quickly, and I was really happy to see that we reacted quickly off the back of that to go 2-1 up. And at that point, I know I'm wrong here, but I thought we would then go on and take the game.
Chris, thoughts on Longstaff second?
Yeah, fantastic one from Gordon. I'm literally just watching the replay now just to refresh myself. But yeah, fantastic one from Gordon. Cuts inside as we've been screaming so often for him to do. I'm just watching it now. Yeah, Gordon's 1-on-1 up against Osho, who is the number 2. Cuts inside. Fantastic bit of play there. Really good shot off. And again, look, Sean Longstaff making those runs into the box, and that's what you need. You need Sean Longstaff to be that extra man in the box. But yeah, it was a really, really good finish. Could have ballooned that actually, because when the keeper makes a fairly decent save, even though it is straight at him. But Longstaff still has a little bit to do. But he keeps the ball down and finishes with aplomb. So yeah, but like Pete, I did think 2-1. Right, here we go. Let's go and make this 3-4-1 now. But it didn't quite pan out like that.
Right, 2-1, and it's end to end, as the score suggested. But on to the second goal for Luton on 39 minutes. So this is Barkley's goal. He makes it and he finishes it. But for this one, what was Shar doing? He's just jogging back. I know Tony put it to me to ask this question of the lads. What was Shar doing, tracking back here or jogging back? And Barkley's there with a free shot. After there's the save, it falls straight to him and passes it into the back of the net. Pete, we'll go to you with your thoughts on that one.
Shaw throughout this whole goal signified for me his overall defensive performance today. I thought he was really poor today defensively. And Shaw has these games every so often. He's a superb player, and we've given him his flowers on Tuesday because he deserves them. He's had a really good season overall, but every so often he has one of these games where defensively he just switches off, and it's like defensively you don't want it. He's not interested, and there's a Fabian Shaw that switched on. Still tries to put a challenge in there, still tries to get back in. And if he even wants to get back in, shows even 50% desire to get back in, he actually could get back and maybe even be side by side with Barkley. I'm not saying he would stop the goal, but he would certainly be a lot closer to try and maybe put him off and take him off his stride to just be able to take a touch and tap it in the net. You look at that position there where Barkley receives the ball. No fault on Dubravka from where the shot comes in. He's naturally parried that out. But he should be parrying that out knowing that there's 2 or 3 men around to be able to get rid of the ball. The fact that Barkley's in that position, 7 yards out, with nobody around him is unacceptable defensively. It is unacceptable. And the laziness for Shaw, and if we were to watch this clip, what you would see, and I watched it on the replay live, is he literally just jogs and he shows no emotion, he shows no frustration about the fact they've scored. It just keeps jogging. Even when the ball's in there, it just keeps jogging forward. It's like that's not what you need to be doing, not in this team. And it was unacceptable. But I'll rewind back slightly, because when the ball breaks, I think Murphy tries to play a ball, or he tries to get a nick on the ball, and it falls into the path of a Luton player. And I think the Luton player takes a bad touch. It's there for Longstaff to win, and Longstaff is half-hearted in that. He should be winning that ball, and convincingly, because that ball is there for him to be won, and that's what starts that run off. So for me, yes, we've said about Shaw, but go back and watch that clip again, or that replay of the goal. If Sean Longstaff is anywhere even 50-60% committed, he wins that ball. He just flings a foot at it. Like, you can't do that. You cannot do that at this level. You've got to be committed in challenging to win the ball. And if he does that, that goal doesn't happen. We keep possession and we probably go on the attack again. And it's just these little moments in games that are really starting to affect us. It certainly did today. There was a number of them. And I'm sure we'll talk about more as we go along.
Chris, we'll go to you. Old Everton boy at Barkley making it 2-2. Your thoughts on that goal?
Yeah, Pete took the words out my mouth. It all stemmed from that loss of possession in the middle of the park with Sean Longstaff. If he'd just shown a little bit more grit, we wouldn't have then had to face a counter attack. But don't get me wrong, it's not just Sean Longstaff's fault. As you said at the start, Daz, Fabian Schär's jogging back 60-70% pace. Like there's clearly no determination to get back. Very, very frustrating. And it just shows, doesn't it? And we built as a team, we built a solid foundation as a back four, with obviously Nick Pope in goal, and then we've got Martin Dubravka at the minute. And that was all built on trust and hard work. And there was times today where we just didn't see that. I watched the replay just then, and I've seen Sven Bottom getting pulled out of position, and it's not on. Because he's having to then try and do the job, not just for himself, but for other players. And when that happens, that's where the disarray comes in. And then Martin Dubravka stood there thinking, where should I be? What should I do? And it just caused disarray. If you've got one player or numerous players who aren't at it or aren't giving 110%, you're basically on a hiding to nothing, because teams like Luton, who press hard, work really hard as well, they will punish you. And unfortunately, that goal was a prime example of that.
Right, that took us to halftime, 2-2. And of course, then, as inevitable, every other game, we lose a player. Gordon has to come off. This is him after the game. We'll get to talk about this a bit more at the end. This we'll park Gordon for now. But on comes Wilson, straight back into it. Murphy on the 49 minutes. Murphy took a shot instead of squaring the ball. But at that point, on a personal note, I realized I'm watching it on streams and switching streams because it's buffering, but it's actually on Premier Sports in Ireland. That eluded me, so they're onto the proper. I'm paying for it. I might as well watch it there. So anyway, I got to see the match properly then. But let's move on. 54 minutes. The Byrne foul on. The Luton lad from that's actually plays for Ireland as well. But let's this is him going down the wing, who had Byrne on toast today. But we have the little clip of the actual when he gets to the box, and the penalty call. In my eyes, this is definitely a penalty. But let's just look at it first.
Ouais, bien sûr. Non, mais bien sûr. Mettre tout le monde d'accord, et on pourrait se dire qu'il n'y a pas. On va voir.
A definite penalty. Then Morris steps up to take it, puts it in the back of the head, then has to retake it because the referee didn't blow his whistle, and puts it in the same spot again. So it took Luton 3-2 up. But Chris, we'll go to you first on that whole thing.
It's just, do you know what? I felt really stupid because earlier on in the preview, for anyone who watched it or anyone who watches it back, I think it was Pete who brought it up and said, is there any concern over Dan Byrne at left back with his pace? And I'm like, no, fine. Everything will be fine. And Dan Byrne just got torn apart numerous occasions today. That I've not seen Dan Byrne play so poorly in a half as much as that second half, and it was no coincidence to me that he got substituted straight after, because he was just all over the place. He was all over the place, and he was being dragged from pillar to post, and it was another example of really poor defending. And I'm not quite sure what he's trying to achieve, because if he's trying to pull the player down, you do it early. If you're gonna do it before he gets near the box. But he's given the referee, a tough decision to make. And, when you watch the replay, you could argue that it started outside the box, but ultimately he's still doing it when the player's foot's on the line. So he's given the referee no choice but to award a penalty. just really, really poor. And I'll tell you something else I wasn't very impressed with. And again, maybe I'm being harsh here, but Carlton Morris takes the penalty, puts it just to Dubravka's left, and then obviously it has to be retaken. And he goes up the second time, stutters, and puts it in exactly the same place. And I just thought, like, it wasn't actually that good of a penalty. The commentator was waxing lyrical over it, and I'm thinking it's really not that good of a penalty. I just wish that Martin Dubravka had kind of stood still for a little bit longer, and I think he'd have realised, because even his body shape, when I was watching Carlton Morris's body shape, he didn't even give him the eyes or pretend like he was going to go the other way. You could see a mile off that's what he was doing. And then when he stutters, Dubravka moves to his left slightly, his right, and then he just puts it in exactly the same place. So that was frustrating, although I'm not going to sit here and criticise Martin Dubravka for that, because it was a ridiculous penalty to give away in the first place. So I'm not blaming Dubravka. I just was a little bit disappointed, because I think Pope would have done better with that, should we say? So yeah, but no, very, very frustrating. And then I think, tell me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think Byrne got pulled quite shortly after that.
Yeah, he did. Yes, pretty much. Well, no, but we let in another goal.
Oh, was it after the other goal? Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Pete, your thoughts on the whole penalty and Byrne taking him out? Pull back.
I've already I tweeted about it earlier after the game. It was coming. Like at that point, it was coming at some point. He'd got rinsed at least 5 or 6 times in the first half. He was getting rinsed again in the second half. It was going to come at some point. And I'm not saying I'm not saying that it's a stonewall penalty. I think it's still harsh. I think it could be well given as a penalty. I think if it's Newcastle United's player on the end of that, I'd be calling for a penalty myself. But what you can see there is that if you've got a player that's significantly faster and better quality than your fullback and is beating him time and time again, at some point that player is going to get put into a position where he's having to make a decision that could potentially cost him and the team. And that's exactly what happens. Some people are saying it's not a penalty. I would argue that the clip of the foot, although minimal, brings the player down. And because of that, it then is a foul, hence penalty, because it's on the line. It's not necessarily about the hand on the shoulder at that point. And Ogbone, he had a fantastic game. I thought he was very, very good, very, very good player. But David already talked about him in the previous game. He talked about him again today. He destroyed us down our left.
Rapid.
Yeah, not just that, technically very, very good as well. He is for sure showing that he is a very competent Premier League player. But anyway, comes to the penalty. At that point, I've looked away from the TV. I know it's a goal. And the reason being, and I know, Chris, you've mentioned it about Dubravka. I'm not blaming Dubravka. Dubravka's just not good at saving penalties. No. He's proven it over his whole career. He doesn't save penalties. He's never been good at saving penalties. Pope's different. Pope's a proven penalty saver. He's done it whether he's been at Burnley, whether he's been at Newcastle. He's proven to save penalties. Some goalkeepers are really good shot stoppers, really good goalkeepers, but just not good at saving penalties. Dubravka's one of them. So I was never confident. And if you go back and watch one thing I watched on the replay as well, when it shows behind the goal, even if Dubravka had gone the right way and had saved it, he would have had to have retaked it again. The reason being is because when Dubravka sets his foot off, he's already in front of the line. His foot's in front of the line, which is, if anyone knows the rules, your foot has to be on the line or behind the line in order for it to be an official save. So if you watch it again, his foot's way in front of the line and he's way in front of the ball before even Morris is taking it. Even if he'd have gone the right way and saved it, it wouldn't have counted. And he'd have probably retaken it and put it in the same place again and scored. So that's just classic Dubravka. Unfortunately, he's just not good at saving penalties. And at that point, I'm then worried because it was the first point in the game that we were behind. We're not good at getting points from behind. Funnily enough, there was a stat during the Everton-Tottenham game that came up, that Everton are just as bad as us, that when we go behind, we don't get many points. And in fact, before today's game, we'd only got 1 point after sort of going behind, which tells you everything you need to know about. So seeing that stat earlier on in the day and then going behind, it didn't fill me with confidence at all.
Great. We're in the same boat as Everton. Not what I want to hear. Chris, did you comment on this or did I can't remember.
I did, mate. I started.
All right, well, let's move on. Let's move on to the Luton's fourth goal. Yes, Luton's fourth goal at St. James's Park. 61 minutes. Adebayo makes it 4-2 with the Newcastle defence getting overloaded. As you can see in this shot here. Pete, we'll go to you on this one. Thoughts on this goal?
What is it to say? Just shell shocked at that point.
At the back.
That we're look. If I could be bothered tonight, I'm just not in that right frame of mind. If I could be bothered tonight, I'd have put the tactics board up and I would have showed you the obvious thing. What's the most obvious thing about this still image here is the one question I ask myself, and I've asked myself before when we've had the tactics board up before. Where's your fullback? Where's your left back in that position there? Because I can see the nearest player to the ball is our centre back, Sven Botman. So at that point, where's my fullback? Why is he not there? I don't even know if he's even in the image. I think the person at the bottom here is Sean Longstaff, if I'm right in thinking.
It is Pete.
Wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
Where is my fullback? We're on a counter attack. We've got everyone else in position. Maybe not in the right positions. Trippier's playing centre back at the moment. Shaw's there. Botman's there. Where is my fullback? And Joe Linton is absolutely right in the chat. Burn is nowhere. And the reason being is because he time and time again finds himself out of position and hasn't got the ability to get back into position, and therefore it puts pressure on other players. And as you touched on it earlier on today, when someone put in the chat they thought Shaw and Botman had bad games, I disagree with that. I thought Shaw was really poor defensively, good attackingly. I thought Botman actually played very, very well today because he spent the whole game firefighting other defenders for not doing their jobs.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's not had. That doesn't mean he's had a bad game. And then Botman is caught between a rock and a hard place because he should be then going to press the ball to stop that ball from happening, but he's in two minds because if he goes to press the ball, there's a simple pass out wide in which it happens anyway, in which they score the goal. And it's a nice finish right into the far corner. Great finish. It is what it is. I'm sorry, you cannot keep doing this. You cannot keep putting your defenders in difficult positions because you're going off roaming forward, right, to show that you're an attacking fullback, but not then getting back in and being exposed and exposing your defensive line, which is exactly what happens. If anybody knows Luton, even if you've watched them a couple of times this season, you will know that they punish teams on the counter-attack. So you cannot throw yourself forward if you know that you can't get back. And he's done that, and he's cost the team again there. And not just the penalty decision, that in itself is what has got him hooked after this point.
Yeah.
Now, we will get onto that conversation, I'm sure, after that. But it's shocking. It is absolutely.
Can I ask a question here? Right. In the still here, you can see Botman is the player closest to the ball. But beside him is Bruno. And then it's Schär. Is that correct?
Is it Bruno? I watched it.
I think it's Bruno. Yeah, because
I don't know.
Because I think he's pointing toward. He's trying to like. It's too late at this stage, but he's trying to get Botman to cover the man on his left. But okay, it's way too late at that stage. But Chris, let's go to your thoughts on that goal.
There was a moment as well which led to this, which I couldn't believe at the time. So I forget who played the ball, but somebody played the ball like into the middle, I'd say it was about 40 yards out from the Luton goal. and Dan Burn stretches to try and get the ball and ends up intercepting the ball and giving it to the Luton player. And then Luton go on a counter-attack. And I think it was Alfie Doty, who's the number 45. It ends up going to him on the left wing. He then plays a simple ball to Ross Barkley, which is what you can see in the freeze frame. And then obviously he just plays a simple ball, cuts Sven Botman out the game, because obviously Sven Botman is doing his best to try and cover as much as he can. And then it's a simple finish. Pete's right. It was well finished, but he had all the space all the time. And again, it's because our left back's not there. Our left back, I think at the time, was either running back or still lying on the floor from trying to intercept a ball that didn't need intercepting, because I think the ball was actually on the way to a Newcastle player. But Dan Burns desperately, trying to get back in, or thinks he's trying to win back possession and ends up giving the ball away. And then obviously, if your left back's that high up the pitch, you've got big problems, because you need to get back. And Dan Burn, from the position he was in, as I say, he was favoured on from the centre circle. He was a good 20, 30 yards away from the centre circle, and you're thinking, well, he's not gonna get back. But this is a problem. We've spoken already about Shah being out of position, and now we've got Dan Burn out of position. And then and you're right, Daz, it was literally after this goal that he then pulled Dan Burn. But people in the chat saying, we should have been pulled at half time, and I think that's probably fair.
Well, let's hold that thought. And what I want to do now is just quickly go. We have a members draw coming up as well tonight. So lads, remind me, because I have the wheel ready. Just want to quickly, because we're not finished with the goals, quickly go into the sponsors. Shout out to the RadiatorShed.com. All your radiator needs, contact Russ. Russ will sort you out. Everyone knows the beautiful radiators that Russ has, so check that out. Also, shout out to Bathroom Design, H2O Bathroom Design Co. and all the bathrooms. Get down to the showroom, check out the latest, because we have pictures on the way. We just need to sync up with Russ, get the latest pictures, and we'll show them the latest and greatest then. So quick shout out to the sponsors. Let's get back into it. Right, as you mentioned, lads, off comes Byrne, on comes Tino. Had to be done at that stage. And off comes Miggy and Barnes. Come on, great to see Barnes coming back on the pitch out since the start of the season, pretty much. But 66 minutes. There's a penalty claim. We did never get to for us, but we never actually get to we didn't need it, because we play on and Trips gets a goal. Beautiful ball from Bruno outside of the foot to make it 3-4. We're back in it then at this stage, and the momentum is with us. So Trips with his goal. Chris, we'll go to you for your thoughts on Trips' goal.
Yeah, it was a bit all over the place, this one, wasn't it? It was a bit like pinball. But in the end, it was a smart finish from Trippier. Obviously, he goes into the box. Ball comes in. I think, tell me if I'm on, boys, but I think there was a deflection somewhere along the line. And then the ball falls to Trippier. And he finishes it really well. And it's funny, because at this point, we were 4-2 down. But I knew there was still something in the game for us. I knew my mates were messaging me going, "Oh, you're out of it now. That's it. It's over." And I was like, no. I said, there's still an opportunity here. Because, yes, we were wide open. But at the time, Luton was still wide open. I think Luton were probably looking for the fifth, because that really would have sealed the game. But I kind of had a feeling that we might get back in it. And then, obviously, Trippier gets that goal. And, it started the resurgence. So yeah, it was a smart finish by Trippier, who again was really high up the pitch, but we needed it at that point. We needed to try and pepper the goal and really try and get something back.
Pete, thoughts on Trips' goal?
Yeah, just a great ball. Great ball from Bruno. I believe outside of the foot. Superb. He's done that a few times where we've benefited from his ability to find passes, and he's really starting to do that recently, which is great to see. And it's the fact that he takes it on the volley. Trippier, he hits it first time off the volley. It's not an easy finish, but the fact that he keeps it down and hits the corner, it's a superb finish from Trippier. You don't expect it from him. You don't expect him to arrive in that position, but boy, were we glad that he did. The captain rallies the troops for the last part of the game, and I'm sure we'll get into what happens next.
Let's get into what happens next. So on 72 minutes, Miley, a good challenge on Barkley. Even the commentators thought that it might have been something in that, but no. Play on. Yeah, I know. But Barnes passes the ball. Great finish from Barnes, and he has that in his locker. But great to see him back. Great to see a goal from him. Hopefully, there's plenty more to come. Also, silence the doubters as well, maybe in terms of Barnes. 4-4. The last time we've seen a 4-4, I remember, is Tiote. Who's no longer with us, of course. But in that Arsenal 4-4, but different kind of an atmosphere today. But Chris, I think we're going to go to you on Barnes' goal.
Yeah, like you, as I was like, I didn't know where the commentator was coming from, because first of all he said it was a foul, and I'm saying out loud, it's not a foul. And then he shows the replay, and he's like, yeah, they've got to pull this back. It's got to be a foul. And I'm thinking it's not a foul. Possession won back really, really well. Lovely ball, and Harvey Barnes with a really smart finish, and I think he needed that. It's great for Harvey Barnes to come back. Well, he's definitely going to need it after we talk about what I'm sure we will after this. Harvey Barnes, that will do the world of good for his confidence. But I loved how he stroked it into the far corner. Again, the crowds are all buzzing at this point, and he could have quite easily lashed it. But it reminded me a little bit, boys, of the De Bruyne goal against us. You know, the way he just stroked it into the corner. Didn't have to put lots of power on it. Just directed it really nicely and hit it firmly. But yeah, it was a really, really smart finish with his left foot. And I was absolutely buzzing at that point, because I think that was around the 75th minute, was it?
72nd minute.
72nd minute.
Yeah, you're thinking at this stage, we want to get a fifth there. You know, there's so much time left.
Definitely, yeah. But no, really smart finish and made up for him.
Yeah, exactly. Pete, your thoughts on Barnes' goal?
Yeah, just personally really happy for him. I think I've said it before. I think he's got a lot of unnecessary stick. If you look at the stats of the games he's actually played, I think he's more than contributed in where he's been involved, and that would do him the world of good. Getting that goal on his first game back, I think it would do him the world of good. I think it would do the players the world of good as well, to see what he's all about. Harvey Barnes isn't an Anthony Gordon. He's not that guy that will run all day for you. He's not that guy that will kind of track back and do the dirty work. That's not what he's about. What Harvey Barnes is, he's a killer in front of goal. He is the opposite of what Anthony Gordon is. Anthony Gordon does all the work outside, but really doesn't have that prowess of finishing. He's been better this season, but he's not quite there yet. Harvey Barnes has that ability. And the way he uses the player to bend the ball round him to blindside the goalkeeper on his left foot, his weaker foot, is exactly why we paid the money we paid to get him into this club, because he knows how to finish and he knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. And we needed that. We needed that goal, and we needed it quite quickly. I think we scored on the 67th minute, and then we scored again on the 72nd minute, something like that. And it was a quick turnaround. And honestly, I said to you boys at 4-2, and I said to the Geordies down south boys, I said it's game over. I thought at 4-2 we're done. Like, the game was done. I didn't see us coming back. At 4-4, at 72 minutes, I genuinely thought we would go on to win the game. I thought the turnaround of those two goals was so quick that I thought we'd have enough and the momentum would take us forward. But for him personally, I think it's a great moment. That kicked him on because, and I don't know if you're going to mention it, but he had another couple of chances as well.
Yeah, I am.
And I don't know if you want to come to the super chat, because there's a super chat in there. Massive thanks again to Dominic. Dominic.
Thank you very much, Dominic.
Thank you so much for the super chat. He gave us a very sort of a generous super chat the other day as well, and we massively appreciate it, Dominic. You're a good person, and it massively helps the channel. So thank you so much for that super chat.
And of course, Dominic was at the game today, so great game to go to. Pity about the result in the end, but I hope you enjoyed your day out and be back again soon.
Definitely. hopefully we'll catch a game with him at some point down the line as well. That's for sure. But yeah, Harvey Barnes, really pleased for him. Hopefully this is the G up that he needs in order to take him forward for the rest of the season. And he said it in his interview after the game. He said this has been the most difficult moment of his whole footballing career. This period at Newcastle United, being out for 5 months with this injury, it reoccurring in December when it looked like he was going to come back. He's gone through the mill. He's been difficult. It's been a difficult moment for him, especially on top of that, moving to a new club, new part of the country. Like, it's been a really difficult moment for him. So the fact that he got that goal and could have got another one, albeit from a fantastic block that would have won us the game. Yeah, I'm really pleased with him, and I really hope now he can really kick on and get a good run of games in the team and show his ability. Because if we get him enough service, I said it before the season when we signed him, and I say it again, he's got 2 goals already this season. If we give him enough service between now and the end of the season, I still believe he can get double figures for us.
Well, he's going to get a chance now as well. But we're going to get on to that in a few minutes. But yeah, speaking pity he didn't score a few more, actually, because he had more chances after 76 minutes. Barnes' chance led to a corner. 81 minutes, Barnes' shot after Shar's run. And I thought Shar was going to shoot then at that stage as well. But it took a deflection and it was saved. Then 84 minutes. Murphy at the back post after Bruno a ball. Another one from the outside of the foot, I think. Then it came to 10 minutes additional time. And you're thinking, it's our goal, our 5th goal is coming here, but it was not to be. Actually, Luton started to come back into it, and then the additional time, and Dubravka had made a good save from Obeni as well. But final score 4-4. Not what we were expecting. Definitely weren't expecting to concede 4 goals today. And one of the big talking points as well is Mr. Anthony Gordon and where this leaves us now with yet again another player going off injured, adding to our injury list. It's been the story of our season. We cannot catch a break. Where do you want to go to now, lads? Take your pick.
Do you want to talk about Anthony Gordon in the injury?
Yeah.
Just because, as you said, it's like for all the decisions, for all the losses, for all the bad form, like, we have to be honest with ourselves as a fan base. Like, as frustrated as we are right now, nobody in the Premier League this season has suffered the amount of injuries and to the extent that we've had. On top of that, to the players that we've had, it seems like every injury that we've had pretty much has been to a key player. So Anthony Gordon has suffered injuries over the course of this season. Alexander Isak, Callum Wilson, continuously those 2 boys. Even Miguel Almiron's had a period out this season injured. Joe Linton's missing pretty much the rest of the season. You know, you go back through Sven Botman. You go back through, who else have we had that's had an injury? Dan Burn. Okay, we were struggling with for a little bit. Nick Pope. You go through that team, like, they're all key players. They're all key players. And one thing we haven't touched on, boys, is that I don't know if you guys noticed it, but on about 95 minutes, Bruno could barely run.
Yeah,
he could barely run. He was hobbling, like, and he was pulling up. I'm hoping it's just cramp because, like, he ran himself into the ground. I thought that 3rd goal from Trippier really kicked him into gear, and I thought we saw another level from him, and he was all over the place. You saw him more attacking. You saw him on the right, the left. He had a couple of really good runs and good balls into the box. He was at it, but by that moment, he was done. Like, he was spent. And I'm worried that he's going to be the next in line to pick up an injury because, you know, these guys, it's not their fault. These guys are having to kind of run on empty because all the players are picking up injuries, and it's never ending. And I can't understand for the life of me what it is. And I don't know whether you boys got an opinion on this. Like, is it what's going on behind the scenes? We've got Johnny King that's come in from Leicester City, one of my good mates who works within the kind of the fitness team at Leicester City, who I know really well. I dropped him a message yesterday and said, "Look, tell me a bit about Johnny King. Like, what's he like?" And he messaged me back and he said, "You know what? You've got a really good one there." He said, "He's a really, really top physio, and he'll do great things for Newcastle United." So that was pleasing for me to hear. And I'm thinking, is it the physio side of things? Is it that we're lacking in that level of quality? Is it the intensity? Is it too much for players? Are we breaking down because there's players that can't hack the intensity, the intense level of what Eddie Howe expects us to play? Or is it just bad luck? Is it just pure bad luck that we are having this many injuries over the course of this season? Because I can't pinpoint it, boys. And I don't know what you boys think, because it just seems wild to me that this keeps happening game after game. We think that we're getting these players back and we're getting a squad back together. Then all of a sudden we suffer a blow. Within 2 games, we suffered massive blows. Isaac on Tuesday, Gordon today. It's like, come on, like, when is this going to stop? What do you boys think?
I think it's a mixture of everything, but luck being one key factor in it as well. And the amount of games we had to play on top of each other, and with 1 or 2 pieces of the jigsaw be missing, we didn't have players to come in, and the players had to continue playing 2 games a week, and they weren't used to it. Like, if you compare it to last season, we didn't have a fraction of these injuries, so there has to be something in that as well. So I think it's a mixture, Pete. But with one physio departing and previously, and this new guy coming in, let's see what he can do. But the intensity as well, it does take a lot out of them. But yeah, I think it's a mixture. And luck for me is high on the list of reasons why, because we've had no luck this season in terms of injuries.
Yeah, I think for me, I think we're still struggling from the fact that we've got the players back now. You know, Wilson came off the bench, Barnes came off the bench, and we're gonna, obviously when Willett comes back, when Anderson comes back, I think the injuries will lessen off. But we're still, even though we've got these players back, let's not forget, Anthony Gordon and the other players on the pitch have all still been playing those minutes. I don't think we'll see these injuries or types of injuries lessening off until we start being able to rotate the players, or give players a little bit of a rest. Hopefully in the next few weeks that will improve. But yeah, let's not forget the fact that we have been incredibly unlucky as well. There's been some real odd injuries, I think it's fair to say, and they've all been quite lengthy. So I'm hoping things improve, Pete. I am.
Throw in the other side of it as well, and not having a go at Eddie Howe, but there was times as well where he had players on the bench that he didn't want to use. You know, the likes of Alex Murphy, they could have come in on different occasions. There was other players as well, the likes of when I can't remember the game, but Isaac was barely able to run, and we've Ben Parkinson just to see out the last 10 minutes of the game. Just what is the point in having players on the bench when he's not going to use it? Look, next season we'll have more players to choose from. Hopefully won't have as many injuries, and as Chris says, we're getting players back now, so it should lessen up a bit. But we have to get that far first. One of those seasons, I think.
Absolutely, it is, mate. It's just one of those things, isn't it? But just last thing before we move on, I saw somebody. Where did I see it? I think it might have even been actually on the commentary. It might have even been on the commentary, and they were saying that Eddie Howe out was trending at half time. I don't know whether you boys had seen that, but I've seen a lot of comments tonight from the viewers. Yeah. You know, people clearly up in arms about Eddie Howe, or starting to question Eddie Howe. I mean, Daz, Pete, are you at that point yet?
In our viewership now, or on Twitter?
Yeah, no, a few people on here.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's bring it up. I want to see. I haven't looked at the chat at all. So
tell you what, let me just whiz through. I'll read out a load because they're not really questions; they're more observations. So Carlisle Tuna says, "Revenge tore off to a bad start. Does Eddie freeze with panic and can't make proactive changes? Is he too loyal to certain favourite players, or has he reached his level? I really hope not. I really hope it's the latter because I really like him." Somebody else says, Gary D, I'm just about lost with Eddie. He does not seem to learn that Burn should have been off in the first half. The poor lad was getting rinsed. Toon Gamer says, how was Costas the game today? Not taking Burn off at half time as he got battered all game. This has to be the last game that Burn starts. Sniffer 1973 says, God bless fellas. I want him gone. I'm starting to hate now. I know I shouldn't, but I am. Roshi says, Eddie was a genius the last game. Where is he gone? So that's a little bit of defence for Eddie there. John Story says Burn will cost Eddie his job. And there's more, boys. There is more. Life Goals says, very naive from Eddie today. We all realised Burn needed to switch with Tino at half time, but for some reason, Eddie is always reactive rather than proactive. And for me, Howe's indecision cost us 2 points. There is more comments. Here we go. David Kitchen. For the first time today, I'm starting to lose faith in Eddie Howe. What has Livramento done to lose his place, and why does Eddie continue picking his favourites? Appalling performance and results. There was a couple more. Jay says, I hate being negative, guys, but do you think Eddie is the guy to take us to the next level? I don't think so, because I worry that we'll be in the same position next season. Toon Gamer. Oh, here are. Sean Taylor says, How will be here at the end of the season, but a bad start to next season. And then I'll leave it on a question, which is from Toon Gamer. If an elite manager becomes available in the summer, would anyone replace Eddie? So you can just answer that one, boys.
Wow.
There's a lot, and that's just in our chat. And as I say, it was meant to be trending at half time. That's apparently. For
me, after this game, replacing Eddie is a non-starter. It's still, see where we are coming into the season. Look at it as well. If all of us thought the best we could get against Villa was a draw, we ended up winning the game. All of us thought we'd beat Luton, and we got a draw. So on the level, if you compare it, it's 4 points either way, whatever way you slice and dice it. But yeah, there are question marks on Burn, and picking Burn as his favorite. We called it before the show. We called the team. We I remember even saying that this morning at half 12 this afternoon, saying that Eddie's going to pick Burn, but I would be happy to see Livramento in there. I think Livramento should be in the first 11 as it is, but. Is he going to make the change? All eyes on the next team sheet that he produces. I think Burn needs to be dropped now, and I can see why people are saying that Burn could cost him his job if he keeps continuing to play. But in the last couple of games as well, Burn did okay. You know, I think one of those games recently, he could have got man of the match. I think I gave him man of the match. So. I'm still all on Eddie for the remainder of the season, but let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, Pete, where's your head at, mate?
I think it's important to remember that you can be somebody that questions Eddie Howe's decisions in game, but still not want him to be sacked. And for me, I'm in that bracket right now. I'm questioning Eddie Howe in terms of some of the decisions that he's made with regards to Dan Burn being the obvious one for today. I can question him in terms of not making some substitutions as quickly as what they should do, and making the right substitutions with someone. I'm going back a few games here for various different games over the course of the last month or two. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I want him sacked, because I still think there's a lot of good there. And Daz, you've just touched on it. The fact that we go to Villa, a team that haven't lost since February 2023, and we go there and beat them quite comfortably, should show that there's good qualities to Eddie Howe and he can do a good job. You know, Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta haven't been there and been able to get the same. Okay, and we go there and tactically he outthinks Unai Emery, who's meant to be a tactically better manager. So we're in this moment where we've got to remember some of the good stuff too. Yeah. But for me, and I maintain this, Eddie Howe is learning on the job, and he has to learn from his mistakes. And for me, that will be the key to whether he stays in this job or not. Is he going to be able to learn from his mistakes? So me and Daz, we talked on Tuesday. We said he needs to learn from Man City. Can he bring on a Tino Livramento, go 5 at the back and see the result out? He did that. He learned from his mistakes. We said it on the show earlier on today. Yeah. He learned from that. Can he learn from it? He took too long to make that sub today for Dan Burn. He waited until we were 4-2 down to make that sub. When he makes that sub, we have no issues conceding a goal for the rest of the game. Now, for me, I'm expecting Eddie Howe to see that now. The fans have called for it. We've called for it. We could all see it. I've had people message me today saying, like, there was one guy that was like, I'm an electrician. I'm not a football coach. I'm just a fan. But if I can see that Dan Burn needs to be subbed, why can't the coaching staff see? And I agree with you. I agreed with
Bright
you.
spark.
It's like, we all agree. We're all in the same boat. We could all see what was happening, and it didn't. And nothing changed. And I'm like, you've got to learn from those mistakes. You've got to be better at making those mistakes. And for me, he needs time. So the big question will be: is come Saturday evening against Nottingham Forest next week, are you going to learn from your mistakes? Are you going to put somebody in that team that if you play with someone with a bit of pace up against him, he's going to struggle? You're going to keep going with him, or are you going to play somebody who athletically is the right player, technically better? He's just an all-round better player, but he's just not a left footer. I just, for me, I just think that we can't jump at getting rid of Eddie Howe. Like we can't do that. Like Eddie Howe will be here to the end of the season, guaranteed. Regardless of what happens, he will see this season out. The question I have is that can he learn from his mistakes? First of all, can he start making the right decisions and be ruthless? I think, honestly, we're seeing a little bit of that in January with all the transfer stuff. I think the likes of Wilson, Trippier, and players like that being put up for transfers is an act of ruthlessness to say that we don't have to keep these players around anymore. If we want to get to the next level, we need to get better players in. I think we're going to see that in the summer. Next season, if we're seeing the same issues, I genuinely think there's a question mark there. And I genuinely think that if we get 10 games in and we're seeing some of the same mistakes happening over and over again, I think there'll be a call for his job. I genuinely think that. And I think it will be justified because we need to be able to kick on next season. The injuries and all the rest of it won't be an excuse next season, not with the summer that we're planning. And so for me, I just think right now, we need to be a little bit patient. It's hard, I know. We need to be a little bit patient. We need to observe Eddie and what he's doing and the decisions that he's making. And more importantly, PIF need to make that decision and observe things. Right now, there is no manager for me that can come in and make this team better. No manager that's currently available. And I put Jose Mourinho in that bracket. I don't think he comes in and changes too much of what's happening at Newcastle United right now. I just don't. With the injuries and all the rest of it, I think he's got his it's not an excuse. I'm trying to say excuse. It's not an excuse, but he's got his kind of reasonings for why things aren't going well. I think after this season, he hasn't, and that's the big thing. But we could be completely blindsided. We've talked about it before. PIF might turn around and go, you know what? This manager's available. We want this guy. For example, case in point, Thomas Tuchel. He might not stay at Bayern Munich at the end of the season. He might be a free agent, and they go, you know what? We want this guy to come and take on the mantle and take us forward. That's just an example. I'm just throwing a name out the hat there. They might make that decision, and we just have to accept that. I don't know, but I'm not asking for Eddie Howe out now. But equally, I'm calling out some of the decisions that he's made because I think as fans we have a right to do so.
Do you know what,
Chris,
Pete?
just get your thoughts.
Just to quickly add in there, I completely agree with you. And this is kind of where I was on X or Twitter last week. I was in this same place. For me, if somebody makes a wrong call, somebody makes a judgment or a decision that I don't agree with, I think it should be called out. And I kind of did that with the owners. and with the the transfer policy and what happens over the transfers. I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know the financials. Obviously, I'm not attached to the club in any way, but I do believe that we should have done more in that transfer window. And completely agree with your assessment on Eddie Howe. I think if he makes mistakes, if he doesn't take the right decisions, I think he should be called out for it. Doesn't mean that I want rid of Eddie Howe, but it kind of goes back to again what I said a few weeks ago. In the for me, I completely agree. This season, fine. Eddie Howe's not going anywhere this season, but he does have to start learning on the job. And we all said this, that he will come under pressure from certain sections of the fan base if things don't start going well. And this is why I felt sorry for Eddie Howe in many ways, because these injuries, there's not, well, you can argue there's not really not very much you can do about them. But this is why I wanted him back in this transfer window. He needed bodies through the door. Hopefully Anthony Gordon isn't seriously injured. Hopefully Alexander Isak's back in due course and things start to improve. But it's very hard to defend Eddie Howe with, in-game changes, because he is, he will live and die by the sword on those changes. And a lot of fans today have probably seen something that, they've not liked. And that, if the average Joe can see that a player is struggling, the player needs to come off. The player needs to come off, especially when you've got a ready-made replacement there. Tino Livramento would have been fine coming on at half-time. So, yeah, he will be called out for that. What happens in the summer, I don't know. None of us will know that. But Eddie Howe needs to turn things around pretty quickly, because it does feel like an opportunity missed today. However, looking at it from a more positive point of view, if you swap the results around and you said to me, you get a point at Villa Park and you get 3 points against Luton, I'd have took that. So I still feel like it's still reasonably positive. And let's not forget, we were 4-2 down and we managed to scrape a point. Should we have got 3 points? Absolutely. But when you're 4-2 down and you end up rescuing a point and you're just off the back of a fantastic win away at Villa Park, which none of us were expecting, it's not panic stations for me just yet. But I tell you what, there's going to be a little bit of pressure now on the Forest game, because he's going to have to make some big calls and he's going to have to be ruthless, like you said, Pete.
I just wanted to, I agree with what you said. And I think for all of what we've talked about today, I think we have discarded the fact that we did come from 4-2 down and we equalised to make it 4-4 in quick succession. And I think that does need to be praised, because it shows character, it shows that determination from the players to not give up. That stands us in good stead in the games moving forward. But there's just a couple of points that I just wanted to make. And Michael Pomar, hope you're well, Michael, he just put on the chat, so I apologise. He put, Jordan Cronin was reporting that Eddie Howe has come out in defence of sticking with Byrne. Don't expect him to throw Byrne under a bus, but you have to see that weakness. For me, Eddie Howe coming out and doing that, I don't expect Eddie Howe to come out and say, "Oh, Byrne was shit. He's going to be dropped. This, that, and the other." It's not going to happen. If Newcastle fans are expecting that, then that's just crazy. No. It's not going to happen. You look at our injuries that we've just talked about over the course of this show. Like, for all we know, Tino Livramento or Trippier pulls up an injury, and all of a sudden, Byrne's back in the starting lineup again. He has to protect his players to a certain point. He has to show that he's supporting his players. In his mind, he might be thinking, you know what? If Trippier and Livramento get through training this week, they're started. He might be thinking that right now, but he can't come out and openly say that, and nor would I expect him to. He's got to protect and look after his players. He has to do that. And I genuinely think like there will be some decisions made on more than just Dan Byrne, but a couple of other players. And he also mentioned as well this question here. We look at mid-table team on the performance today. If we finish mid-table, how will that be received by PIF? It's a great question. It's a great question, though. I don't know what you boys think about it, but it goes back to the point that we overachieved last season. So we see our team is as a top 4 Champions League team. Now, I'm sorry, Dan Byrne is not a Champions League player. Okay, he's not. For as good as he's been, nor is Jacob Murphy. Okay, nor is a number of other players in this team. Okay,
Louis Miley, Sean Longstaff, Dubravka. Yeah.
All of those that you can mention, you can keep going through the team, right? a lot of these players are not Champions League ready players, but we've still got that mentality that they are. And this is the problem. Like, nor are we a mid-table team. We are definitely a top 7 Premier League football team, but we're just not performing at that level at this moment because of injuries and because of situations like today. It's a mixture of both. But I tell you something, next season, regardless of what happens this season, and we can still finish in the top 7 easily, next season with additional funds, we're going to go to town in the summer. I'm convinced of it. Sandro Tonali comes back. We're going to move on some of these players. We are going to look a very different team next season. And I tell you what, injury-free, we push the top 4 again, in my opinion. But we just need to be patient about it all, because this is not a quick fix. It's not with the injuries that we've got at the moment.
No, and maybe I'm being naive, but for me, I called it months ago. This is a stepping stone season because of X, Y, and Z. All these things are conspiring against us this season, including PSR, the old favorite of son of FFP. So all these different things. It's a totally different ball game next season, whether we're in Europe or whether we're not. Let's see whether we have Eddie or whether we don't. But it's going to be just let's take each game as it comes, and on to Forest next week. I'm going to do a draw, lads, because I will forget it as otherwise. So we're going to go take 1 or 2 more questions before we wrap up. But let me get the spinning wheel up for the members. So hopefully you can see that now. Here is the wheel.
Yep. That's it, that's that.
Yeah. So let's go. This is for a voucher, Chris?
It is. It's for the £50 Newcastle Club Store voucher. So best of luck to everybody who's in the member draw. And spin that wheel, Dazzler.
Spin that wheel. Here we go. And the winner is Jens Garton.
Nice.
Garton.
Well done, mate.
Well,
Congratulations, Jens. We'll try and track you down, and you even better, you try and track us down, and get in contact with us and let us know, and we'll get that prize sent out to you. So congratulations again, Jens. Chris, back to you with another question or 2.
Yeah, so I'll just have a quick look. Just before I do go to them, big shout out to Gary D, who's just become a Loaded Ultra. So Gary, nice one, mate. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that.
Nice one, Gary.
Munch has also become a YouTube member tonight, Loaded Ultra. So big shout out to Munch. And also, great name, Chris NUFC. And it's not me. So thank you very much, Chris. Also become a member. Thank you very much, mate. And Chris,
1 second, Chris.
Go on, Pete. Go on, mate. Go on.
No, you go. You do it. Go for it. What were you going to say?
And
Chris, you want to say the same thing? Yeah.
Yes. So, Chris, thank you very much, mate.
Cheers, Chris, as well.
So Chris says, I like Eddie and I want to keep him for years, but I think if we keep getting beat off Forest and drawing against Luton at home, PIF will replace him. Chris, it's a fair point, mate. It's a fair point. And this is the thing, it's a results business. And this is the problem that Eddie Howe's going to have. And it touches a little bit on what I was saying before. You know, the pressure is on Eddie. Yes, everyone's going to have sympathy over the injuries. Yes, everyone's appreciating his learning on the job. But at the end of the day, you've got to get those results in. And it does beg the question, doesn't it? And if we're playing devil's advocate, which, you know, I like to do occasionally, it kind of feeds into, you know, is this one of the reasons that we were keeping the purse strings tight? I don't know. That's speculation. That's just my opinion. And it's one of many opinions, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm right, but it was one of the things that sprung to mind to me, because for me, Eddie Howe needed help, and Eddie Howe didn't get any help. And you know, it's going to be a difficult second half to the season, is what I'd say, if the injuries continue as they are. But let's get into some questions. So, just a yes/no for this one, boys. I think I know your answer, but this is from NC. Should Newcastle look at Ross Barkley in the summer? He looks to be back to his best this season, at least against us. Dad?
No, it's a no from me. I did want Ross Barkley back before he moved to Chelsea, though. I wanted him then, but it's a no from me. What is he, 32, 33 now?
Oh, I don't know how old
I
Ross
think
Barkley
he
is.
is.
Is he that old?
He is. He's doing well at Luton, but he did nothing at Nice, and he did nothing at Chelsea for years because he didn't get a game. But no, he's doing well for Luton. Yeah. Ross
What would you say,
Barkley
Pete?
is 30.
30. Right, okay. Didn't realise he was that old. Oh. Pete, are you in the Ross Barkley camp or not?
No.
I like it. Toon Gamer, we brought this up before, but I want to ask you boys again. If an elite manager becomes available in the summer, would anyone replace Eddie? A yes, no, if you want.
No one looking in particular at our answer to this question. We have to get to the summer first. It's too early to be making a call now, and especially after a result like today. But it depends on the summer. I'm sitting on the fence. I'm doing a Keith roll. I want to see how we get on. I want to see where we are, and then I want to see how we are after the next two games, Forest and Bournemouth, key games for his ultimate future as well.
Pete,
I wouldn't, but I think PIF would.
like a Tuchel, like you brought up before.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't, but I think PIF would. I think they would. I think they'd move him on, and the reason why is because I think we're going to have quite a big transfer budget this summer, and I think they're going to want I think if an elite manager became available, and that's the big question, I think they would probably want to trust him with it rather than Eddie Howe. But I would keep Eddie Howe this summer and then into the new season. But that's just me.
I have another point here. If you were to throw in the bit where we get the summer and Eddie Howe wants to bring in just all Premier League players and half of Bournemouth with him, it's a no. I definitely want the elite manager in. So there's that caveat as well. He has to look outside the box, not just Premier League.
Yeah. I've got two more questions for you boys. Two. Carlisle Tuna says, just putting it out there, would you start Burn in a back three against Forest with Tino and Trips as wing backs, or would it just be a straight swap Tino for Burn?
For me, it's Tino for Burn, and I'd go for that like five at the back with the wing backs, as we talked about. When Bruno gets that yellow card, that's Luton. Actually, when Bruno was hobbling around, I was thinking, if he is injured, just hit someone and get the yellow card, and we can get a 2 for 1. No, that's the change I'd make.
Yeah, Pete.
No, it needs to be a straight swap. I would only make that change. I would only bring Burn into back three, as Daz said, in game later on. If we're trying to hold on to something, that's the only time I'd make that change. And I don't think Eddie Howe make that change either. It's not the system we set up with. And with all due respect to Nottingham Forest, I don't think we need to be starting the game 5 at the back against them. I think we've got a team good enough to attack them with our current formation. But yeah.
Just putting that one there. Not really a question, but a little bit of support there for Eddie from David Cook, who says, on Tuesday, Eddie was king, and tonight, he doesn't know what he's doing. The fans need to give their heads a wobble. So a little bit of support there from David Cook for Eddie Howe. But the final question I've got, and this is a really interesting one from Munch, now that our revenge tour has officially started. At what point do we say the season's a write-off? Daz?
I've been kind of half saying it. I'm not saying calling it a write-off, but it's a stepping stone season. There's too many things that have gone wrong for us along the way. Everything went absolutely a dream season last season, and everything's fallen apart for us. There's been highlights along the way, and there's more highlights to come. But yeah, it's not where we want to be or where we thought we'd be at this stage. But even in the Amazon documentary, they even called it out that it's going to be difficult trying to combine Europe and this, and that led to the injuries and so on and so forth, and not having been allowed to use the money that we have to bring in more players, coupled with Tonali, blah 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 blah. It's just been one step up, two steps back is every which way we turn.
Pete, just as a little added, a little bit of extra info for you. So we're currently sitting in 9th place. We're on 33 points. We're 2 points outside of a European place, which would be 7th in the Europa Conference. And we are 11 points behind Tottenham in 5th. At what point do you think the season's a write-off?
The only point in which the season's a write-off is when we cannot secure European football. I've said it for a while. I've reevaluated Newcastle United's season in my head when we had all the injuries and we went through that really difficult moment in December. I reevaluated it and said, we're not in the Champions League race. For me, we just need to secure European football, any European football. I genuinely think if we get 7th and we get Europa Conference, I think the next season we go on and win it and we get our European trophy. I genuinely think that will be the case. I think we need to secure European football in order to get the players that we want, to get and attract to the club. We have to be playing European football for that. Otherwise, these players will get to heads turned and will end up at a European football team, a team will playing European football. So for me, only when European football is not mathematically possible is when we rule out this season as a write-off. And as you just said, Chris, we are still, although teams have still got games to play, Man United play West Ham tomorrow, so that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But I just think, for me, we are still banging this race, although this is a disappointing 2 points dropped. We've got a lot of positive fixtures where we can pick up a lot of positive points, whereas teams like Man United, West Ham, and all the rest of it have got to play each other. I think there's still points where we can get a jump on a lot of these teams. I still think we'll finish above West Ham. I still think we've got a great chance of finishing above Man United. And I think if we do that, we finish in Europe. Long way to go for me. Long way to go. It's Project 7th for me. I'll call it Project 7th. And that is get minimum 7th place, because that will secure European football.
Yeah, I'll just add my 2 pennies worth in before we wrap. But for me, I'm Project 6th. I really want the Europa League, and I think it would attract a higher caliber of player. And I think that we've got that real big carrot as well. Because if we win the Europa League, as you say, Pete, if we win that European trophy, it automatically qualifies us for the Champions League. So for me, I want 6th. But we'll have to see. But I do agree with you, Pete, when you say once European football isn't possible, I think the season's a write-off then.
And I'm Project Zebra, because this is only the beginning of this project, and we have so many more years to look forward to. So while it may not seem like it on a night like tonight, after shipping 4 goals at home to Luton, there's still plenty to play for this season, and especially next season and the seasons after that. So we've given a shout out to the Radiator Shed and H2O Bathroom Design Co. earlier. Also, let's give a shout out to ourselves, because you can find us on a host of different platforms on YouTube, like you're probably watching now, or listening to us back on Spotify, Apple Music or Amazon Music, and we're across a range of different socials in X/Twitter, TikTok, and Insta. And for any business inquiries, you can contact us as loadedmagnufcinfo@gmail.com. That rounds off our second show of the day. Yes, the second show of the day. We were on at 12:30 today. If you've missed that, go check that out as well. A bit of talk, did a quick little show there. So interesting one to keep an eye on. But I think there's only one thing left to say. We didn't like it, but we'll have to say it out nonetheless. How'd you like that? See you very soon. Night, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Night.
feel like